Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Do Christians and Mormons love the same Jesus? This astonishing statement by the creator of The Chosen, Dallas Jenkins. We're going to unpack it more. This is part 2. Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. This is, as I said, part 2 of going into the interview with Melissa Doherty that she conducted with Dallas Jenkins, creator of the hit series The Chosen. And this is a series about the life of Jesus according to the Gospels. At least that's what he says. Now, before we get into it, let me play a couple of clips so that you can know where we are. Now, he claims this is God told him to make this series. He said that this would be the definitive portrayal of the life of Jesus. And then, of course, he says this is according to the Gospels. But listen to this video here.
Which then puts me in a dangerous spot when I'm making a show about Jesus, where 95% of the content isn't from the Bible. So
now, in previous videos, I went further with that. But notice he says 95% of The Chosen is not based upon the gospel. So how can this be the definitive gospel or portrayal? And one of the ways is the term authentic Jesus, the use of the word authentic. Now, again, if you want to get further into that, I did several videos on The Chosen. My focus on this is this statement here. When I started watching this interview, my interview was just really just listening to Dallas Jenkins and then Melissa interview him on the show. But then all of a sudden it took a horrible turn, right? All of a sudden there was this Mormon connection. And I thought to myself, wow, how could there be a Mormon connection or Mormon questions or Mormon controversy in a story about Jesus? And one of the statements that he makes was that his Mormon friends, that they share the same, they love the same Jesus. I'm going to play this clip and I'll comment on the other side. If I can find it here.
What was your reaction, or I guess was there a reaction when a bunch of Latter-day Saints from VidAngel approached you and were like, let's make this happen, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. The Latter-day Saints at VidAngel are fully aware, and we're fully aware when we first started meeting and talking about this project, that publicly speaking, it might not necessarily be the best thing for the show if people know that Latter-day Saints are behind at least the distribution of it. And we love the same Jesus. That's not something that you often hear. Sometimes it's like, oh, they believe in a different Jesus than we do.
Statement.
Yeah. No, it's the same. I mean, I'll sink or swim on that statement, and it's controversial, and I don't mind getting criticized at all for the show, and I don't mind being called a blasphemer. Gosh, for all the stuff that maybe we don't see eye to eye on, that all happened. That's all based on stuff that happened after Jesus was here. Well, the whole reason we're doing it is we want to introduce the authentic Jesus to 1 billion people around the world. That's the goal.
Okay, so that was an edited clip. And this was from, I believe the YouTube channel is called Kingdom Enterprises. He spends 5 hours on this, going into the Mormon connection. So he goes way deeper, much more deeper than I'm going to go with this. But I want you to see there was a couple of things that, before we get back to the video, the interview with Melissa Doherty. One, I didn't know that VidAngel Studios, I thought that was a Christian studio, but it turns out it is a Mormon studio. Now, in order to understand this, the Mormons the Vid Angels, let me just say this. So Vid Angels is obviously, it's a Mormon-based studio. So the question becomes, why were they so interested in approaching Dallas to do a show about Jesus? Now, if you go and you kind of do a Google on Mormon films, LDS films, they've been doing films you can go probably all the way back to the 50s. They've even done films about the gospel of Jesus. And it's kind of funny because it's old English, ye, they, I say, yea, I say to thee. So very old King James, right? But my point is that these are Mormons who are doing videos about Jesus. All right. So when Vid Angel, of course, according to what the guy said, approached Dallas about doing this series, that's telling in and of itself. Now, the fact that, so now you can understand why 95% of the chosen is not biblical, right? That's what he said. So I want you to keep all of this in mind as we now get back into the interview where we're going to critique, because this comes up. Melissa is asking them. This is a big chunk of this nearly 2-hour interview. And not only about the chosen itself, but hey, there's a LDS connection, which is strange to me. So I'm going to scroll through. I'm going to scroll through past a lot of Melissa soft pedaling, priming us that Dallas is not as bad, and we love Mormons, yada yada yada. Although I'm not focusing on Melissa's interview style, I'll just say this up front. She said she was going to press him on these issues. She did not. And I can understand why Dallas agreed and chose her to go on to do an interview, because in my opinion he manipulates this interview and she allows him to get away with a whole lot of stuff. This is why we're going to deconstruct what he says. So I'm going to scroll through a lot of her, to me, just softballing. Let's go.
What I'm going to call your informed audience. These are the people you've been on record saying that you have LDS friends and you love the same Jesus. What does that mean? Can you break that down for me?
Yeah. So before I did The Chosen, my knowledge of the LDS Church was, I would say, I don't know what I would say limited, but it was limited to just my upbringing in the evangelical church of studying LDS. I mean, I studied it in college where, I had a class as I was a Bible major in college. So I had a class that was about religions of the world. And so you study the different religions and you want to know what they say. And, and I've, seen videos and read articles about the LDS Church and Catholic Church and all that kind of stuff.
Now, again, he's downplaying this. One, remember, he went to college. We've already looked at his background in the other videos. So he's been to Bible college. He grew up in an evangelical church. So he's just said that his knowledge about the LDS is not limited. It's quite extensive. And this is just from his evangelical background. Now, he's going to contradict himself even more in a moment. But I just want you to see something here, how he is sort of downplaying, and he's going to do that. He's going to manipulate sort of my association with the, Vid Angels people, the LDS people, but remember, we just saw him defend not only define, but defend, right? That he believes that his friends, right, love the same Jesus. He's going to even go further with this. Let's continue.
Different religions, faith, denominations, and all that. In the last 3 years, I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours with LDS people, because LDS folks make up a good chunk of the distribution company that's handling our show, Angel Studios. They're not an LDS company, but they're based in Utah, and a good portion of them are LDS. As a lot of people know, the set that we used for season 2, for part of season 2, is owned by the LDS Church.
Okay, just a note. That set he's talking about, no other non-Mormon was ever invited to do a production on that set. Okay, so let's continue.
So I've gone to Israel with several LDS folks for research for the show, who are partnered with me on the show because they're handling distribution. I've prayed with them.
Here's my question. Prayed what? Well, what did you pray? Now remember, there's a lot of stuff that he slides in there that, okay, in connection with a Jesus film, he says he's prayed with them. Again, it gets more intense. But notice he prayed with them. Prayed what? See, but what did you pray with a Mormon in connection with your Jesus film? Let's continue.
Gosh, hundreds of times. Some of them have become my closest friends, or at least some of my closest friends. And so when I made a comment which has aroused some response from even good friends of mine.
Amen. God said he wouldn't let you mess up, so maybe this is
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to criticize Melissa for co-signing. She says, well, God said, remember, well, not in the previous video, we played the part where he said God told him to make this film, and that God wasn't going to let him mess it up, that this was going to be the definitive portrayal of his son. I guess he forgot to mention that God also was going to partner with LDS people. The majority of this production is LDS. That is the interesting thing here. The majority of the production is LDS. Okay. Now, his statement, of course, it drew a lot of attention. So the question is, why would he make the statement? Well, let's continue.
Where I talked about, we love the same Jesus.
Yeah.
And I regret maybe saying it with less clarity than I'm saying it now. But I don't regret the statement, because I believe that about at least the friends that I've gotten to know, those who have gotten to know well.
Now I'm going to say this, and because he's talking about his friends, and basically what he's going to say is that the friends that he knows, that the LDS people. Now remember, I told you, if you go back and watch a lot of the LDS, the Mormons film industry, they make a lot of films. Okay, a lot of films. A lot of wholesome, I'm going to call them white bread, wholesome, the white middle class suburban, which is the Mormons, but also films about Jesus. Okay, that's important to know. That's important to understand. Now, he's friends with them. Let me just say this. The fact that he is partnered with Vid Angels, that he uses Mormon people for the production and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, fine. Maybe they were the best production people. Maybe they gave him a cheaper cost, right? Okay, maybe, I don't know. But this is going further than that. He's going out of his way to validate his relationship with Mormons. And understand, we've already heard him say he's prayed with them hundreds of times. Prayed what? And now he's saying that they love the same Jesus. Really? So the Mormons, and one of his things he's going to say is, well, we love the same Jesus, and what they claim. In other words, the people that he's friends with, they're not like the other Mormons. They're not those, polygamous Mormons. But my question will be, why are they Mormons? If y'all love the same Jesus, and you say you love the Jesus of the Bible, then why are they Mormons? Who's who? Who's what? Let's continue.
And what I mean by that is, we don't share the same religion. I mean, I don't consider myself religious. I don't like that word. I have a relationship with Christ, not a religion.
Standard Christianese. I don't have by the way, Christianity is a religion. I understand what he's saying, but that's standard Christianese, and they're the reason why I'm pushing back on it, because what Jesus are you having a relationship with if you all love the same Jesus as the Mormon Jesus? Let's continue.
And so I believe we have a different, well, I know we have a different quote unquote religion. Mm-hmm. And there are several things that we have strongly different beliefs about.
What the heck is that? The religion that you claim is different. How does it end up with the same Jesus? That's like saying that all roads lead to God. Different paths, but lead to the same God. It's the same. Oprah says the same thing, right? Different paths to the same God. So, but here's the problem. The Mormon Jesus is diametrically opposed and different than the biblical Jesus. And that's why I said, how can they be Mormons if they love the same Jesus you love? They would leave the Mormon faith. Let's continue.
But what I was referring to was, when we're talking about Jesus of Nazareth, we're talking about the Jesus of this show and the Jesus of the Gospels that I'm writing this show about. Mm-hmm. I have asked every conceivable question of my LDS friends about Jesus, based on everything that I've heard, read, things that you've said, things that, I've done a deep dive into all of this. And
let me say this before he goes on. Now, he just said that he asked every conceivable question that he's heard and read about the Mormons. Now, based upon their answer, and notice he will not say this, but based upon their answer, they should say that we did believe in Jesus of Mormons, who was the spirit brother of Lucifer, but we no longer believe in that Jesus. We no longer hold that as the Jesus we believe in. Only then could he say that we love the same Jesus. He won't say that, which is clever. And Melissa knows this, but I digress. Let's continue.
I would say that, number one, there are things that I have read or heard from ex-LDS or from articles or videos or whatever, mm-hmm. that simply don't reflect the beliefs of at least the LDS folks that I know, or at least most of them.
Do you think if
Got to cut in here. He will not spell out specifically what his friends believe, what they used to believe, or what they don't believe. Take note of that. Let's continue.
reflects the beliefs of the LDS Church that they follow?
Sometimes. I mean, that's the thing. So when right now, let's real quick, when we were just talking about the Trinity.
Now, problem. He said they reflect the belief of the church they are part of. How is that the same Jesus? And now what he's getting ready to do is to compare, and I want to debunk this. I'll let it play through. Let me debunk it. What he's getting ready to compare is the differences of belief among Christian denominations. Now, within the reputable Orthodox Christian denominations, though we have different worship service, though we have different ways of believing, liturgy, things like that, different church service or whatever, we all believe the same Jesus. So in this respect, we could say we love the same Jesus. Catholics, Methodists, Baptists, Presbyterians, Pentecostals, etc., etc. We all love the same Jesus. Now, you have Baptists who don't believe in speaking in tongues. You have Pentecostals who don't believe that women should wear pants. You may have Presbyterians who believe such and such and such and such, but we all believe the same Jesus. That is not the case with Mormons. And Melissa's allowing him to introduce this straw man argument that is worse than apples and oranges. Okay, so let's continue.
15 minutes ago, even in that discussion, you and I had to spend as much time clarifying what we meant by the things we were saying as we did about the actual things we were saying, because it was so nuanced.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the evangelical church, when someone says to me, who's not a believer, oh, you're an evangelical. Oh, so you believe, and they list off the things that I believe, or the people like Joel Osteen, or the people who protest at funerals, at military funerals, and who hold up these anti-gay signs. Or they'll start rattling off things that they know and understand about the evangelical world, or they go, oh, you believe in the Bible, right? That's the Bible, the Old Testament, where it talks about killing your enemies, or and I have to spend all this time like clarifying the nuance of it. And so the fact that there are things that I have asked my LDS friends about who are deeply ingrained in the LDS church, or at least I don't know if ingrained is the right word, but involved, and who tell me that is not accurate, that is not what I believe, multiple times. There are other things where they said, yes, we believe that, and here's why. And I go, oh, that's interesting, I don't believe that. Or there's plenty of things where I've said to them, yeah, this is where we diverge significantly. This is where I believe that borders on, if not heresy, borders on heresy. This is the big problem we have with it. Plenty of things like that. There's also things where I'm like, where they're saying to me, that thing that people criticize us about was written by a leader in the church, but is not gospel for the LDS church. Or some of us Mormons believe that, but not all of us, whatever it is. And to me, I go, instead of going, no, you don't really believe that, or no, you must be lying, or you must not understand your own faith.
Okay, his defense of the LDS is glaring, astonishing. Okay, sorry for the word mix up there, but his defense here, when the Mormon religion says that Jesus is the spirit brother of Lucifer, that's just one of the things right here. The spirit brother of Lucifer. That's just an example. So, okay, my Mormon friend, do you believe that? Do you believe that Jesus is the spirit brother? Notice his lack of specifics here. And this is on purpose. It's on purpose. And as I said, my criticism for Melissa, she's allowing it. She's allowing it. She knows exactly what's going on. She's just not doing it. Okay, let's continue.
I go, I've had plenty of things said about my faith, my evangelical beliefs that are inaccurate from well-meaning people who don't understand the nuance of it. It's certainly possible. And I know there's...
What's possible? What's possible? The only way he could justify this is to say, well, they don't believe that Jesus is the spirit brother of Lucifer. They don't believe what Joseph Smith taught. They don't believe the entire Mormon book, the Book of Mormon. They don't believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet and that the Book of Mormon came from him digging up the angel Memorial directed him to dig up some gold plates, and out came the Book of Mormon. Why didn't he say, and his friends had said, well, yeah, our church teaches that, but we don't believe that? Then again, of course, if you're saying you don't believe that, then why are you in the church? Why are you a Mormon? All right, let's continue.
A viewer right now who's going, no, it's not possible. I understand everything there is to know about the LDS Church, and any nuance about it is incorrect that you're saying.
And I guess I got to ask the question, why is Melissa smiling about this? I am criticizing her for this, allowing this to go on with unchallenged. All right, let's continue.
Fine, but I'm just saying it's possible to sometimes get certain assumptions wrong about an entire belief system, and to not recognize that there can be within an entire belief system groups of people who have varying, nuanced, different beliefs.
Yeah.
And when I hear, like, when I'll watch a video online of it'll say like ex-Mormon comes to Christ and they describe their story, and I'll ask some of my LDS friends about that. Or I'll look it up myself, or I'll look at, or I'll just watch it myself and go, their experience or what they're saying about their parents or what they were taught does not match what XYZ LDS friend of mine, what their experience is or what their beliefs are. Now,
so why don't he tell us what their experience are? Remember, he's made an incredible statement that his Mormon friends love the same Jesus. Why isn't he saying they profess the Jesus of Scripture? Let's continue.
Either they're lying to me, and they're all just lying to me, which would be quite strange because they've devoted their entire careers and lives to my show. Like people at Angel Studios and some of my close friends in the LDS Church have literally told me that they have that their careers and their lives have become about getting this show out to the world. So the Jesus of Nazareth, the Jesus that I'm portraying in this show, is a Jesus that, at least for my LDS friends that I'm working with, at least those, I'm not talking about the whole church. I can't speak for the whole church. And let me make something also very clear.
All right, let me make something clear. That he just claimed that the LDS people have devoted their life to getting this video out. That's a play on words. Of course they have. If you hired them, right? In other words, people who go, actors. You can say the same thing about actors, right? That actors devote their whole life at the time. In other words, when they're working on a movie, right? They're not working on 15 movies. See how you could play around with words? And then when he says that, okay, we're going to devote to getting that Jesus out that you're making, Dallas. Well, remember, 95% of that Jesus doesn't come from the Bible. Just saying. Let's continue.
The whole church does not want me speaking for them. The LDS Church does not formally endorse the show. They have never made any kind of statement of endorsement for the show. They are as passionate about making sure that the show is not formally associated with the church as I am. In fact, all of my LDS friends, by the way, who work on the show, do not want the show associated with the LDS Church because they know that that will cause people to not watch it or be upset or offended. Like they are.
Or not make money. In other words, if you come out and you say something like, this is the Mormon production, yeah, no, they're not going to watch it. But it's even worse when you say that 95% of your Jesus doesn't come from the Bible, and that the Mormon friends love the same Jesus that you love. Ooh, pretty bad. All right, let's continue.
Fully aware of the reputation. They are fully aware of how much distraction it can cause. And they are saying, it's your show. We are signing on for your show. It's an evangelical-based show, and we are just interested in getting it out to the world. So that needs to be clear too. But all I'm sure this isn't the final thing, but the final thing I want to say about this point is that there has not been a word, and I mean that literally, not one word said by anyone in the LDS Church that I work with or that I know that has said, make sure you say this or change that or tweak this about Jesus, or that doesn't align with our beliefs, whatever it is. So.
Yeah, true, but do they have to if 95% of the chosen is not from the Bible? Just a question. Let's continue.
The Jesus that we are working on together or portraying, I believe you can use the word, it's the same Jesus. And when we say things like, no, LDS people believe in a different Jesus, a false Jesus, a heretical Jesus, whatever it is, whatever term you want to use, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to debate the specifics of that. I'm just going to say, I think that starts to become wordplay. Like,
how is it wordplay? How is it semantic? If the Jesus you believe in is the Son of God, the Savior of the world, and the Jesus they believe in is the spirit blood of Lucifer, how is it a wordplay? And I can't help but wonder if right now Melissa is not so much as calling BS on what Dallas is saying, but whether or not should she answer it, because she's really soft pedaling this. All right, let's continue.
If you and I are talking about Jordan Ross, our mutual friend, and you said, you know Jordan? Yeah, I know Jordan, of course. He's plays Little James in The Chosen, and he's got a wife and kids and a dog, and he's has this. We start talking about all these things, and if I say, yeah, and he's 6 feet tall, and you went, no, he's not. He's 5'4" or 5'5", whatever he is. I go, no, he's 6 feet. I don't think you'd say, no, you're talking about a different Jordan Ross. You'd say you're wrong about this aspect of Jordan Ross. It's not a different Jordan, it's just you're wrong about this aspect. Now, I know there's a massive difference in some of the things that some LDS folks say about Jesus.
Then why the heck did he just say that? This is why this is amazing right here. Why Melissa is allowing this, what the heck, right? We're not... let's continue.
That have a lot that is of much greater import than height. I understand that, of course. I'm just saying that when we start getting into semantics of same Jesus, different Jesus, I think it becomes about semantics and not about the actual reality. And Jesus. Go ahead. I talked too long, so go.
Oh no, you're good. I'm gonna kind of push back on this for a second and tell me your thoughts. Okay. There's a lot.
Yes, there is a lot.
No, that all makes sense. I'm glad you clarified that. I'm glad that you shared that. It was honest. It was clear. It gives some insight. I shared with you the testimony of my friend Michael Wadler, who I'm actually interviewing next month. He came out with a book, and I'm interviewing him about his book, and it's about his journey out of Mormonism. And I have a good friend, Keith Walker, down at Evidence Ministries. I mean, these are people that have devoted their lives to this ministry. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. If you have people of influence, so like you get people that talk, all right, and they say things and they leave you messages and they're just, pulling up their sleeves and letting you know what they think. I mean, you don't really give too much credit to that because they don't know this, okay? They don't know you from like on a personal aspect. They don't care. But then you have your circle, right? You have your trusted circle of friends that you love and you trust what they say. And I have that, okay? I have a circle of influence, I call it. And if I put out a video, they are the first people I will listen to and get theological feedback from, get any kind of feedback from, because I trust them theologically. Now, if I have somebody in my circle who's an LDS, who's giving me some sort of theological advice, and I'm putting that out there to the world that trusts me, that they trust my my stuff that I put out. You and I are exactly the same when it comes to this, when it comes to our conviction, because I want to, I do not ever want to put out something that's theologically incorrect, or, I mean, it's my ministry. It's what I do. Yours is, more of an artistic angle, but we both have a responsibility as Christians because we serve Jesus. If you have somebody in your circle that's giving you theological advice that's an LDS, do you see why your informed audience would be concerned about that? Like, so people that know about the LDS church, it's like, it's their theology, right? But where it kind of concerns the informed audience that loves you, is if your worldview is going to be affected by the LDS worldview. Right. And then that gets into the show.
I'm not.
Well, this is a little pushback, but really not. To me, I can't ascribe motives here. In other words, but she gives him the straw man that he so easily could knock down. The other question. What's not being asked here, what's not being asked and answered. Dallas said that his friends love the same Jesus as he loves. So that's a easy question that should be probed. In other words, then you're saying your Mormon friends have denounced the entire Mormon religion, because the entire Mormon religion does not mix with the biblical Jesus. So if you're saying that your Mormon friends, which would be, then why are they Mormons? But let's say, okay, if they say they love, and he claims he's asked extensive questions, so the idea of he knows what they ask, he's a Bible school major. To me, a great manipulator of this interview, but I digress. So the question would be, he already knows this. This is what's not being addressed. Let's continue.
Theological advice from any LDS folks. I'm getting occasional information from them on where they stand.
Okay, so no one asked the question about theological advice. See that again, she's allowed him to erect a straw man, and now he's going to start tearing it down. That's not the point here at this juncture. Let's continue.
But
what do you mean by that?
Well, I don't get any theological advice. I don't have any LDS folks telling me, here's some advice. Here's what you should do, or here's how you should think, or here's some tips on how to get closer to Jesus, or here's some tips on how to get into heaven, or into the particular heavenly realm. And I've been, like I said, I've spent thousands of hours with a dozen LDS folks over the last 3 years, very, very close friends. I've never once gotten a piece of advice.
Okay, I want you to. He just said he spent thousands of hours, right? Now, I'm saying this because what's getting ready to come up here is going to be golden. Thousands of hours. Remember, he's already talked to LDS leaders. Okay, listening closely. Let's continue.
So I just think the word advice is a very specific term, and so there's never been any quote unquote advice or influence that would get into the show, because it's not that's never been their intent, and they've never.
So these are friends, just like casual friends that are not involved with putting on content for the show or giving you some sort of feedback, because you understand there's like groups of people that think that you probably have like this group of people from all these all these religions that you sit together at a table, and one's.
Now I'm gonna have to say, because he did exactly that. In the next video, I'm going to kind of play some of these videos where he actually did that. No, that's actually true. But there's he people who advised him on the scripts were Jewish, were Catholic, and evangelical. So, yeah, he did exactly that. But okay, let's continue.
LGBT, one is Mormon, one is Catholic, and that's a progressive probably, and you probably have a New Ager out there somewhere, and you all get together, so it's like, I don't think that's what that is.
So again, all of my LDS friends are involved in the show in some way. So that's how I've gotten to know them, is
like involved, like they hold a camera involved, or
no, they're in charge of like the distribution of the show to the world, they created the app.
That makes sense.
They created the app, or they, most of it is around the app. The Chosen app, which is the free app that goes out to the entire world, has been translated.
And you've gotten flack for the VidAngel thing too, because I know that's.
Well, that's where the vast majority of my LDS friends have come from, and then because of that, then I've met more. And we filmed half a season in Utah, on that set in Goshen, Utah, which is owned by the LDS Church. And again, there were people who go, how can you use a set that's owned by the LDS Church? And I go, why weren't you complaining about the set we used in season 1, where we were filming on a soundstage owned by atheists?
Yes. Yeah.
There's no,
you can't win.
Using a set that's owned by anybody has doesn't seep its way into the script. And now all of a sudden there's lines of dialogue that are more atheist because we're shooting on a set.
This is a good point Dallas brings up, because you can't win sometimes. Even I get flack. Man, I'm in seminary. I read my Bible. You do all this studying, you do all this work. But Melissa, you wear makeup. Oh my goodness. And you're a woman. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I wear a bag over my head. And it's like, what do you want? There's certain things you can't, you can't do. I have books on my shelf that I have Mormon books down here. I've read the Book of Mormon. I have read theological books that I don't agree with. And I get flack for that because I'm trying to educate myself. You know what it reminds me of, Dallas? It reminds me of this mom group.
All right. I'll stop it there, because, again, there's another clip I'm going to deconstruct. And again, you have to kind of listen closely to what Dallas is saying when he says, well, they don't tell me how theologically to construct, in Jesus. And my point is, they don't have to, since 95% of the story doesn't come from the Bible. But also, as I said, we'll get into later where he has other people also consulting in terms of that. We'll get into that later, again, a Jewish and Catholic. We'll get into that later. But as you can see, the biggest issue here, how he manipulates the interview to not answer the key question of why his friends, Mormon friends, love the same Jesus. He never answers the question. Never gives specific. And the only way that they can say that is that they would have to say, we renounce the Mormon Jesus and we embrace the biblical Jesus. All right, guys, look, that is my perspective. Love to hear your views and your comments and your opinions. Add them to the comments section below. All comments are welcome, and don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. Till the next video, I'll see you then.